Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining. Sorry, I went to that wrong camera first. Oh well. Hey, this is live. Welcome, Michelle. How's it going?
Hey, just had to close my window there quickly.
No problem.
So the traffic noise doesn't come in. Hey, I'm here feeling a little bone crushed, a little weary, a little brain weary today. Definitely feeling the crunch over the last couple days. Really, since we got, I think that big blast on the 24th, we hit about 68 hertz. And yeah, I don't know if that's what it's due to, but timing wise, it seemed to really feel it. Just feeling it all in like my lower back, my hips, my ribs, just feeling this pressure, weight.
I'm looking at the Schumann right now, and there a little bit of it's left from the 24th that you can see that we just got blasted. And this is where you're saying it hit. How high did it hit again?
68 hertz.
Wow. Now let's talk about. I guess I should have shared my screen. Let me do that really fast so you can see where I'm pointing here. Okay, let me get back to here. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this freaking pattern here. What the heck is going on with this? I hope they can see that. I went full screen, but this pattern, this zebra-looking pattern here.
Yeah, it's a little wavy hitting all these different points. I don't know. It looks like some kind of... And then leading into this, which I've never seen this. I've seen the blackout strips.
Yeah, like here, but
this
but
is
not
like,
fading into it like this. You
this
can actually...
I haven't seen this yet.
It's actually fading in. Let me see if I can.
It actually fades. It's not even just a block that's missing.
Yeah, it fades.
It's like fades to black.
Yep, and you can actually see the blue.
I've never seen that.
On the low scale, it was still picking something up. So it isn't like we've discussed before where it looks like the machine just cut out or something. Yeah, this fades out and fades back in for a nice little blast that only lasted a few minutes.
And there's a bit of blast looks like on the other side too. Yeah. So that's really weird.
And this is where we're at right now. So if I scroll back to here, this is what we were talking about. A few days ago, it was sort of like this area right in here that...
It's like road burn.
Just so chaotic. And gosh, I tell you what, when this was doing that, I actually felt real heavy and tired. And I'm like, what's going on? And when I looked, it looked like this everywhere. Like it had been just... And I felt that today, about an hour ago. I'm like, oh, man, I can't believe I got to go live here in a little bit. I feel so wiped out.
I know. Yeah, pushing myself today, too. Yesterday, I just couldn't even. That was my day yesterday. Yeah, it was like, I'm going back to bed. Definitely was feeling like, not full out flu, but just that, like, in the bones, achy, crunchy feeling. And just weary and tired and... Yeah.
Here, while we're on this, I want to show this picture this website that came up that somebody showed me that. Let me see if I can pull this down so you guys can see the whole thing. Okay, there. Not too much, though. Okay. Pull it over. Okay, there we go. So this was the website that somebody sent me. It's a Facebook page where this is actually a piece of art that I did the video on yesterday. Very, very, very well done, because I was like, oh, man, this is either somebody spent a lot of money to create a hoax. I could tell it wasn't Photoshopped or, where they did it in After Effects or something like that. But here you see it. It's actually, it was a piece of art. And if you scroll down, look at this. Such a shame. They actually, according to here, I guess they said some yellow vest protesters burn it up or something, but... Here we have before and after. I don't know how true that is. I'm just telling you what they're saying. But yeah, such a shame.
Yeah, that's all very strange.
Yeah, because even though it wasn't a glitch in the Matrix, it was art for a glitch in the Matrix. So I
Well,
mean
where's the
that's
plaque or something?
yeah, like a
Like
little
usually if there's
pedestal
like
or
a
something.
piece of art out, then
Right.
there's some kind of plaque or something that
Yeah.
says, because otherwise then it would just be a practical joke, wouldn't it?
Right. That's what you would think. Or you know what? We can't
If it's
say
a
for sure
public
that this.
display of art,
Yeah.
there's usually something there.
Right. And if the controllers didn't want it out, of course they're going to, well, that's just a piece of art. We snuck and put it out here overnight. No need to freak out about it. It's just,
Listen, it's always a possibility.
yeah.
You know, you can't take verbatim anything. Just like you can't take verbatim the picture,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You just, you know, whether it's a piece of art or you don't really know unless you made it yourself,
Exactly.
unless you actually did it. You know, anything that were presented at
Right.
this point, who knows where it's coming from,
Yeah.
unless you're actually there. So who knows? It's curious, but I mean, I think that's one thing to think. Well, you know, it could be a piece of art, or it could be that they're just saying it's a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
don't
on the
know.
video I did release, I put the link in there in the description and the pinned
Mm-hmm.
comment because that was actually, we were saying that looked like a piece of art Kimberly Lynn Hansen would possibly make. So,
Yeah. Well, interesting. Went to a lot of trouble
yeah.
to not even put their name on it. It's
Okay, so
usually, yeah.
we've had some shifts, regardless of whether that was something real or a piece of art. It was definitely well done. So you have to give them kudos for being able to figure out how to get a car around a tree like that because it did appear to be planted and the tree appeared to be alive.
Yeah.
Leaves were growing on it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know trees die pretty quick if they're not getting water. So and it was right there on the sidewalk in a row of trees that were already there. I don't know if you noticed that, but in some of the pictures you can see there was a row of trees along the sidewalk and that car appeared right on it. So we know
Well,
that the
when they,
tree didn't
yeah.
appear. If it indeed is something that they're trying to hide, a car appeared out of nowhere. And some of us in the community has seen cars disappear and go into nowhere. I've experienced it myself. So we know it happens. So it's not a matter of does it happen or not. It's a matter of does this actually happen, or are they trying to cover it up and say it's just a piece of art. Don't freak out about it, because this is the sort of thing I can imagine happening with shifts and stuff.
All things are possible right now, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't discount anything. But I mean, I think it's so interesting that before we came on the show today, you know, we were talking about that. We were talking about this video, and then our conversation led into me saying to you, "Oh, you know, I forgot to tell you this last week." So I always really wanted to make a point of mentioning that I was glad about you telling me about this show, Merlin, because I've been really enjoying watching it. So I'm really glad you told me about it. What was your response?
My response was, Merlin, what show is this? And you're like, what? You told me about it. You told me to watch it. I'm like, I didn't tell you to watch it. I've never heard of the show. I mean, somebody might have mentioned it to me, but I most definitely didn't watch it. But you remember thinking, oh, maybe he watches it with his son. Now, keep in mind, you talked to Travis. He doesn't have a son, so you wouldn't have thought that, if he had been
No,
one.
and it wasn't. He started watching it after me. It wasn't right. It wasn't. It wasn't him. It was you. I know who I had the conversation with. I remember you telling because you were telling me about this one episode. You referenced this episode and you were using it as an analogy in reference to something else we were discussing, and I can't remember what that thing was, but it's like we were discussing something that happens and you kind of pulled this analogy from this show that you've watched and you told me about it, and then you went away on your trip, and when you're gone I was like, I'm gonna watch the show that Shane told me about.
So you've been binge
And
watching it ever since. So
I mean, binge watching it and every night thinking, you know, oh, I can't wait to tell Shane how much I'm enjoying watching this show. And I forgot to mention it last week. As soon as we were done the show, I remember, like, as soon as we were done talking, we hung up, literally, I remembered immediately after we were done talking. And there's no, I did not have this conversation with anybody else. I had this conversation with you. I'm so sure of it. And of course, like when you first said no, I was like, what? And you're like, well, maybe you talked. No, there is nobody else that I would have had this conversation with.
Right.
It's just not even possible. So that really spun me for a loop. So, but you had two theories too, and because things are such a blur, you're like, well, maybe you dreamt that we had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, well, geez, with me, that's possible because sometimes the dreams are so real. They're just like real memories. It is really confusing. And I have noticed that lately more and more times where it's just becoming more of a blur of what's a dream and what's awake.
Right.
But I still think we really did have this conversation.
So that leads us to one other conclusion. We shifted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
I
having
don't know.
camera issues. Yeah, so maybe we shifted. Maybe one of us shifted. Maybe we both shifted. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's wild.
I mean, I'm going to talk to Travis again to make sure it wasn't him.
But it couldn't be because you got him to start watching it since then, correct?
Well, what happened was I find so many synchronicities with Travis. We touch base every week, and this is what I'll always find. It's always surprising. Every week there's always something that that I'm thinking about or doing or whatever, and he's literally doing or thinking the same thing, and or going through or experiencing shifts the same way, experiencing the same kind of dreams. There's always these similarities, and they're really great affirmations. And while you were away was when I had a conversation with him, and I think he'd been gone like a week, and I mentioned the show. Well, maybe it was longer. Mentioned the show, and he had just started watching it that week. He hadn't even watched as many episodes as I had. He was way behind me. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm still really surprised with that. Was really surprised by your reaction, and
I would be too.
Yeah.
So my daughter came to me and she was like, hey, have you ever had any like dual memories of something happening? And I was like, oh yeah, definitely. And so I'm like, well, what happened? Tell me about it. And she's like, well, at my job, they, take out the new hires and like kind of celebrate them being hired or whatever. And she went with the whole group, and the youngest two people there was her and this other person. They ordered mac and cheese, and they were making this. There was a memory note there because they were the youngest two out of the group. They were ordering mac and cheese while everybody ordered these seemingly more adult-like dishes or whatever. And so, they're laughing about it. So anyway, later on, she's telling one of the other coworkers about it, and they're like, no, you had the chicken like me. And she's like, and it sounded familiar. I remembered both ways. And I'm like, oh, that's for sure in Mandela land right there. That's definitely a Mandela Effect type thing.
Dual memory. Yeah.
So like the car on the tree, I think, we're going to start seeing whether that's real or not. I mean, that's totally possible to see something like that. And it's this converging of the timelines like we were talking about with the whole Project Looking Glass and all of that, Anything's possible.
Yeah, that was really interesting information. Mm-hmm. And you know what, isn't funny? And it's funny how these topics come up in this information, we sort of re-go over it and then actually have these experiences, if you think about it, that is information that I've been going over recently, about the timelines and then, to be experiencing that.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming more and more of a blur. Really is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got my camera going again. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right.
So yeah, if I have to use the camera that is on you, it's actually backwards. It's like a reflection of me, so I look weird. Well, I actually look more weird when it's right because I'm used to looking at myself in the mirror. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever seen that, where they'll show you a picture of Lincoln reversed, and he looks so much different mirrored. Like, unless our face is super symmetrical, which is only the most beautiful people according to, science or whatever, we look weird if we're reversed. So everyone sees us. We look completely different to everyone else. I find that pretty interesting. But,
Well, I think, you know what? There's an art exercise that you can do where, like, if you take an outline drawing, and you're looking at, like, copying, you draw the image right side up, but then flip it upside down so it no longer makes an immediate sense, and then draw the lines, like copy it.
right.
And you'll find that your image is much, much more accurate when copying upside down, because you're not putting your perspective bias on what you're seeing and what you're copying and what you're drawing and what you think it looks like, right? As opposed to just copying the lines. So it's really interesting thing to see how our perception of what we think something looks like.
So way to be unbiased and on the
change that.
fence during your art. Flip it upside down.
Flip it upside down.
Another thing that you can do, well, you can only do this within Photoshop, of course, but if you're doing like a Photoshop painting or artwork or whatever, you can mirror it within the program and see, what it looks like. Say you're doing a landscape, and you sort of, to see if it still feels balanced, you flip it, you mirror it, because your brain isn't familiar with it anymore, and it's like you can look at it with fresh eyes,
Yeah, that's what I often have to do is, actually, there is people that do that. I've seen
hold it
artists
up to a mirror?
hold a mirror and look in the mirror and look at the reflection.
Yeah.
I saw, because I was watching a bunch of shows, like Portrait Artist of the Year and Landscape Artist of the Year. So all these different artists coming in competitions, and you see all their different strategies and tactics and things that they do. And yeah, one of them would do that. He'd stop often and be looking in the mirror to see that perspective, as opposed to like just stepping back from it. Because then it becomes glaringly obvious what the problems are.
I imagine that works good on doing portraits of faces too.
Yeah, much more so, because it's amazing. Like, that's what I would challenge you with it. If you were to just take like an outlined portrait and copy it that way, and then copy it upside down, and you really will be amazed at the difference in the accuracy of what you're doing by removing that perception of what it is you are seeing.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys have it. You're getting artistic tips that can help you out there. And we got a lot of artists here.
Yeah. And then it does change your perception when you do those exercises. Because then you will learn how to break things down. Like when you're looking at objects, to be able to draw them and copying them, you'll learn how to block things out, break lines down, looking at them for what they are, not for just this image that you're trying to reproduce. Yeah.
It's like Project Looking Glass for the common artist, right? It's all connected, you guys. It's all connected.
It is everything. It is.
So let's get into symptoms, because I know, I've already mentioned the real heavy, like, oh my gosh, I just got to rest for a little bit. I've had that probably. I definitely had it today, but I couldn't do it. And I normally do, but I had the show coming up. But like last night, I got it, and so. But I had time to take a little nap, and it's really only like 20 minutes or something. It's not much, 20, 30 minutes, and I feel so much better. I don't know if I'm getting a download or whatever, but that heaviness gets so heavy that caffeine doesn't work, nothing works other than resting. This time I was up moving around and driving, so I couldn't give in to it. And it's still lingering a little bit, but, here I am. I'm awake finally.
Yeah, lingering today, yeah.
But you mentioned the clicking and stuff, and...
Yeah, I meant to mention that last week. Was the clicking started again in my ear, and it had gone for a while. It had gone for a few months, and it came back. It's just this constant, a good week and a half, I think, at least, of it seems to have stopped again now, but just this clicking constantly, like Morse code, click, 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 click. like constantly. Yeah. And the pitch, it would almost feel like ear pressure. The pitch would change. I hear a pitch and almost feel like tension in the ear area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the clicking is like the muscle spasm. Oh, and I did have, and the eye twitching kicked in the other night too.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was interesting with these symptoms sort of flushing through. I could feel that like twitchy thing, and then as it like came in down here, it's like really, that's where I feeling in my lower back and everything.
Can't be the kidneys anymore.
No,
they're up under the ribs now.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I don't even know where anything is anymore. I'm like, maybe something's, that's what I was thinking last night. I'm like, maybe it was just feeling so sore all in there. I'm like, maybe something's shifting around again. Maybe that's like, with these changes, like my bones actually bending physically. I don't know.
Yeah,
things getting moved
feels
around.
Like your bones are getting stressed.
It was feeling achy like that.
Yeah.
Like pressure on my bones, like they're being worked or pushed or.
Yeah, it's similar to, and a lot of people don't deal with this, but I'm so tall, I don't know if the height has something to do with it, but when you're like a teenager and you get those growing pains in your shins.
Yes.
Gosh, and it's like an achiness. It's not.
That's exactly.
It's just nagging and. Yeah.
It's like a scraping on the bones almost sometimes, like nerve-wise. It feels like, like your bones are being stretched or sore.
Now I've gotten the, and I'm really curious, anybody else that gets the tingling on the crown, where it feels like, but I've also been getting pressure and almost like burning at times. It's almost like it feels sort of burning on the crown, like a heat lamp's on it or something. You know, it's.
I
part of going bald or something? I'm just.
I have been noticing flushes of heat.
Yeah.
More this week, because sometimes it's flushes of cold and sometimes it's flushes of heat.
Yeah. Just throughout the body, right? Or on the head?
No, like spots on my face with the tingling.
Oh, wow. This
week. I was noticing, but it'll like it'll tingle and come down and tingle, and then this pressure picks up. It feels like a magnet. It feels like I have a magnet on the like inside of my skull, and then you're taking a magnet on the outside, and you can feel that pulling.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like a magnet here.
The more that you talk about it, the more I feel it right now.
Exactly. If I just think about it, feel it. But it'll come in and tickle. And sometimes I literally feel like it moves my hair.
Yeah.
The tickling, like it's moving my hair. And I'll even feel it like brushing, here sometimes.
That's interesting.
There's a tingling, tickling thing too. It seems to go into the scalp then, like kind of buzzy. And then it'll come down, right? And the sensation will come down and it'll pick up back in the base of the skull, back behind the ears. And that's when the tension and pressure picks up into the ears as well. And so it'll come down from here and go across and like around the ears like this for me, sensation. Right? And then I can feel it in my jaw too sometimes, or the roof of my mouth getting tingly and buzzy as well. I don't know if that's sort of some of the sensations. So it can really kind of come in and affect everything. And then too, I may notice like the muscle spasms kicking in then too, like little twitching or fluttering, kind of little spasms will go down as it goes through.
Something I experienced that I experienced it a while back, but a few times recently, and that's this feeling of almost like there's a hair or something crawling under your skin in this area right here, and you're like, is something on my face? Have you had that at all?
I have this week. Yeah, I have like part of this brush is there's been like this tickly feeling where I'm keep doing this,
right? But it's like
what is
it's
that?
Like your nerves. It's not
nothing there.
Yeah.
I've been getting that actually, and a few days ago, no more than a week ago, it was after we talked last time. I had a really it comes up if I just think about it, but a really magnetic feeling in my hand. And even just thinking about it, I can start to feel the sensation. But there was a lot of sensation. It really reminded me of the dream I told you about ages ago, where I was in the dream, but I woke up and I was in my bed. It was very real, and I was feeling that magnetic energy, all the charge going through my hand, and it's like a magnetic charge. And I was picking up my necklace, but not holding it, like picking up with this energy and
Right.
feeling this charge of energy going through my hand, and like moving the necklace and dropping it onto my
Without
chest,
touching
and
it.
feel it without touching it, and
Right. Right.
feeling it drop to hit my chest. And it's funny that spot that it was hitting too, here in the high heart.
Yeah.
And I kept doing that. And so this sensation like was really strong. That's how I knew I could do this, how I knew I could move this, because I could feel the pull of this energy really going through the hand. And I was really feeling that a few nights ago. Not not in the right hand though, it was in the left hand, but could really feel it. And when I did this, it was like really feeling like there was a ball of energy, like something was really pushing back. You could feel this pressure of energy when I even brought my hands together. But it was like this pulsating magnetic energy. It was quite a strong sensation. And that was the heat. That's where I was feeling the heat as well. One of the times that it was really, it all heated up on the palm of my hand. Felt like a static heat,
Yeah.
like a staticky charge heat.
Michelle
Yeah.
M3 says she's been getting it around her eyes too. And let's see. Bit of Venom says, sounds like Morgellons. I love that one. Sorry. That's just
Sounds like
funny.
Morgellons. No,
Sorry, I have to laugh at that one.
not in this house.
How about blood pressure? You know what? Since I've started drinking lots of water, it seems like the blood pressure thing's better for me. I don't know if it's because I'm just washing out. I mean, you could look at that as a very 3D
Yeah.
explanation for the blood pressure. But also, you know how I've been recommending taking time throughout the day, several times an hour even, just to really take those conscious breaths and imagine that love light energy going into your heart. And I'm telling you guys, if you got to try this, because it only takes a second to take this conscious breath and really breathe in that bliss, breathe in that God source energy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I mean, even if I'm triggered, but sometimes I'll do it just, you know, just to feel better, because it's so, I mean, sometimes it feels like the Holy Spirit comes over you. You get these chills that come over you. It's like
Really
you're
feel the
connected.
energy in the
Yeah.
heart center.
Yeah.
And then it goes down through the spine too. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can really, and it straightens the spine. I can really feel like there's a pressure to it,
Mm-hmm.
like an actual presence to it, and a pressure that like acknowledges the recognition. Like as soon as I draw my attention to it, there's like a physical response and reaction of this like pressure and this awareness um, right in the center. And it does, and it fills your breath. It
Right.
kind of like refills your breath. But yeah, I've been really doing that too. I kind of feel like just having note of the mind, being like this kind of hot air balloon on a string. And that when I feel like it's drifting away too far, like
Yeah.
I'm sensing that my mind's drifting off too
Mm-hmm.
far in a direction, that it's just a simple thing of just like just bringing that balloon back in, right? And just sitting back in it and back into that spot, and
Mm-hmm.
that awareness, and breathing it in.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yeah, I've been really doing that often, several times. And just the more you do it, the more you're just continually
In that state.
aware.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
balloon doesn't go as far away. it's
Right.
not it's not being, you don't have to be reeling it in. it's
Yeah.
it's an easier process.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like if you come across something that would typically trigger you, whether it's someone cutting you off in traffic, or maybe you get a disconnect notice in the mail or something like that, and you can instantly feel, being brought down. You can pull yourself right back up with taking that conscious breath. Feel like everything is perfect in this now moment, and just really breathing that perfection in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
realizing it really brings into perspective how insignificant these things that bring us down so often are, when you take that conscious breath. And I think for a lot of us in the community who have trouble meditating regularly for extended periods of time, because me, it like almost makes me have to go to sleep every time. If I go 20 minutes, I am so like deep that it's like it's hard to pull myself back out. But with these conscious breaths, and whether you're doing art or other things that sort of get you in that meditative state, these conscious breaths, adding that to whatever you're doing, even if you find it difficult to meditate, just take these conscious breaths throughout the day, and they are so powerful with keeping your vibes up. And I almost feel like we're all like antennas to bring this God source energy into the planet and help feed the planet. And it's sort of all these distractions and chaos that we can pay attention to keeps us from bringing in as much of that light. And we're like grid workers. I think we're supposed to be energizing this grid, and these
Mm-hmm.
conscious breaths really keep you at this point where you're receiving more and more of that God source energy and pulling it into the planet. And it does spread to other people, there's no doubt, because that room at
Yeah.
the Mandela Effect conference, you could feel the energy in the air. I'm surprised there just weren't sparkles and glitter all over. That's what
Yeah.
it almost felt like. You should have been able to look around and it would have looked like a glitter bomb just went off and there's like sparklies all in the air, because that's what it felt like on an
Yeah.
energetic level, and everybody felt it. I didn't come across anybody that didn't feel that
Yeah.
that energy.
Yeah, exactly. The air literally feels different.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
That's going to be
powerful.
what we experience more
Yeah,
and more, I think. But that's what you focus on, right?
yeah.
Too, it's a choice of what you focus on, a choice of that perspective. And each time that we take that breath, that's our choice. That's
Hmm.
that's the best choice that we can make.
And one thing
Like you
about
said,
breathing that one thing about breathing that we don't realize is that, like the heart, right? The heart's beating on its own all the time. You can do things to affect it. Like you can take caffeine to speed it up, or get scared or run and speed it up, but you can't directly affect the heart, right?
right.
But the breathing, you can. It's automatic, but you can take it over at any moment. And that's why I call it a conscious breath, because you're actually controlling it. You're breathing it in nice and deep, and you're
Mm-hmm.
exhaling it out. And I'll even do the sigh with it. I feel that helps too. It's a relieving sigh where you're like, yeah, exactly. And it feels. I just got chills from that one little quick breath as an example.
Yeah,
It's
and
it's
end it with a smile.
yeah. That's
Even just
almost
a little bit,
automatic.
even if it's just a little bit of smile, just push that little bit of smile, like just breathe out and try to go up on the corners just a little bit.
Yeah,
And like, whew,
yeah,
just that muscle movement.
yeah. I
Well,
did
like,
that.
even if you have to force it, that muscle movement.
I did that the other day. My wife and I were eating out, and I'd finished my meal and I did that, and she was like, eating or whatever, and I took one of those conscious breaths, and I found myself smiling. I can see her like looking around to see if anybody's watching me look like a weirdo. I had to laugh. It just made me that much more happy, though.
Oh, well, I'd rather be a smiling weirdo than an angry weirdo.
Very true. Yeah, very
I
true.
think, yeah. I'll play the fool. That's okay.
So what's going on with the dream time? I had another dream, but and another one where I woke up and I felt like that was weird. That was just random stuff in my brain, and I lay there in bed for a couple of minutes, and then got
Mm-hmm.
up and thought, I better go write it down, because you know how the rule is: the more you write them down, the more you'll have, and I want to have
Yeah.
more. So I got up, as tired as I felt, looked at the clock. It's 4:46. Like,
So
once
four,
again.
four, four.
So now here again, I'm like, how can that possibly mean something? So 3 times in a row now, I have a dream about giving a presentation. The last 2 dreams were about not being prepared for it, but then not needing to be prepared for it. And this one was really weird. It was like I show up at the event. It's at this hotel, and it reminds me of the correspondence dinner where the president's there, and everything's gold, and everybody's in tuxedos, black tie even, I guess they call it. And I go in there, and at the door, the people at the door are putting these things around everybody that makes it look like they're wearing tuxedos. So I like freaked out at first and thought, oh my God, I didn't know I was supposed to be wearing a tux to this thing. But, no fret. They Velcro this thing around you that looks just like it's a tuxedo, immediately as you're coming through the room. But this is crazy, But
Yeah.
yeah, so what the heck? What's with the presentations? I'm done with the presentations, so I don't, what is that trying to tell me there?
They're still practicing. I don't, I think so much of what we do is just practice. It's like experience. It is life experience that we don't actually have to play out and live out. So there's some measure of gaining an actual experience, a gaining experience in repetition. So when you do go to do an actual live other conference, though you can say that you've only done one or two or whatever it is, but actually the truth of what you've really experienced is several times. I think it's kind of interesting because a lot of us are sheltered off too. I know in this process, when we remove ourselves from a lot of those things that weren't working, and a lot of the friends drop away, that you may move, like so many of these things change and shift, and a lot of times in that process you're kind of on your own on it. And now I'm so brain dead today. Oh, help me, Shane.
I just dropped off too, man. Let's see here.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
Let me go to the chat. Let's see. It felt good that I breathed in deep till I couldn't breathe in no more, then let out with a sigh. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, it really does work, guys. And it's like so simple, and it's been, and that's even what it said in the, when I did that whole, that's what actually started me down that road, is the whole WingMakers thing. It's like, take time, take a breath, breathe it in, and it seems like it's too simple. Things seem so simple that we don't give it a try. And this is like one of those things, but it is so powerful. I can't stress how powerful it is to keep yourself feeling good. That's one of the main things that make me feel like we can bring heaven to earth right now. It's like, dude, I feel it all the time in the now moment. Not to say I don't get triggered by things and still have to live down here with all the crap going on, and that stuff doesn't happen. But I'm so much happier through all the crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then we see less and less crap.
Yeah.
Because we don't expect to see it because it's not our perspective.
Yeah,
that was really weird. My ear went ringing.
Just now?
I lost my train of thought totally there. And then my ear went off ringing, and then I almost started to feeling faintish, like whiting out. I still feel a little woozy. Wow.
Maybe
yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird.
So what if I started talking about Merlin at this point again? Isn't it show so great? Yeah, you shifted back to the Shane that watched it.
I don't even know my name anymore. Oh my goodness.
Let's see.
Goodness. Oh, okay. I do remember the point that I was going to make before, is that so many of us are sheltered off. So when we have these massive shifts in perspective that come in through these energetic, downloads that change how we deal with people. But then we're not dealing with maybe as many people. So we think, well, how do we gain experience in sort of testing out this new way of thinking, or this new way of doing things, or reacting or not reacting? How do we gain the experience in seeing how we'll manage those situations, seeing how we have incorporated what it is that's being brought in? And that's one of the things that dreams can do. They actually give you those interactions, those personal experiences. They'll bring in people from your past, people you don't even know, all kinds of scenarios. That's what I've been seeing playing out. It's like this all different mix up. It's like, okay, try that new information with this scenario. Okay, now try it with this. Let's mix it up. Now try it with that scenario.
Yeah.
And let's mix it up before, a little bit more. Now try it in this scenario. And so we're actually gaining this life experience. We are even though we're not actually physically having those interactions with those people from the past,
Yeah.
or with new people, maybe we're not having very many interactions at all. We are still doing it in our dreams. So we are gaining that experience and allowing that new information, that new perspective for you to actually be able to use that and walk through those situations and
Mm-hmm.
see that you can handle and move through them differently. Even if you don't remember your dreams, I think that that's a lot of what is playing out. So even
Yeah.
if you don't remember it, you are getting an opportunity to have those interactions, use this new information, react or do things in a different way and make those different choices, see how it feels, and resonate with it, and
Yeah.
then carry that new way of being with you.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
doing a dry run, or now that I
Yeah.
think about the dream, maybe that's what the whole thing about just strapping around. It was like a dress rehearsal, right?
The
Just
dress rehearsal.
strap this tuxedo around. It'll just feel like you're dressed for
Perfect.
the, there it was hidden right within the meaning of the dream was these
It's
are
a
just
dress
dress
rehearsal.
rehearsal. Yeah.
That's it. There you go. That's
Amazing.
exactly it. That's exactly it. They're just dress rehearsals. It's allowing you to gain that experience from all these different types of situations.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
for the
something?
future. So when you do come up to that, you're going to feel there's this, good part of you that's going to feel like you've actually done this many more times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Your confidence. Yeah, that's really what's going on. So,
Well, what about dream time for you? Have you? I know I mentioned mine. Have you had any dreams or your mom or anything that you want to discuss?
well, that's really what I've seen with mom playing out, like the new downloads of information coming in, and then having those different kinds of scenarios, like try
Mm-hmm.
it this way and try it that way, being put in perspectives and seeing how that applies to these situations. So, and really opening up her eyes to, um I can feel the way I want. I can have the life that I want. I can, speak my truth, or I can, like, seeing that you can live that way. So yeah, so I just see that playing out in a lot of different ways. She's recalling a lot of dreams for sure
Mm,
and bringing them back. Um, Me, very vivid, colorful, very colorful lately. Really vivid and colorful.
mm.
Um, yeah, a lot of adventure, no stress for me really. So, um, yeah.
I wanted to look up this video for Dave. Let me see here. I'm going to give you this link, Dave, because that's funny that you wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Because I just watched a video somebody sent me. I believe it was Maribeth sent me this video by Sadhguru
Mm.
uh, about the importance of what 3:30 to 3:45 or something like that. But
Yeah,
I'm going to paste this link in for you, Dave. This is for Dave.
yeah, I think I've watched that video.
There.
I used to wake up at 3:33
And I always
all the
think of
time.
that.
Last year,
She sent it
all
to
the
me
time.
because my birthday's March 30th. So she goes, "I thought of you when I saw 3:30 because 3:30 is my birthday, and
Mm-hmm.
so let me pass it along to you." Looking like 12:21. We were hitting 0 point. Are you talking? Oh, are you talking about December 21st? You know what's interesting about the number 1221 is it's 111 11s. So whenever I see
Oh,
1221, not only do you have that mirror synchronicity of 1221, I always think of a mirror synchronicity if I see numbers that
wow.
flip like that. But if you add it up or if you divide that by 11, you'll come up with 111. So 111 times 11 is
Hmm.
1221, which is interesting because isn't that's also the date that the Mayan calendar on December 12th of, or I'm sorry, December 21st of
Yeah.
2012, and so because that leads into the winter solstice or whatever, the
Yeah.
3 days of darkness, right?
Yeah. It's with, you know what? It's going to be a lot of energy for sure. I'm going to be feeling something. But that's interesting that the 11, I was just watching the Magenta Pixie video, and she was
Oh
talking
yeah,
about this 11s again too, and this balance. So it's kind of like that's what's coming up to me, is that energy balance. So yeah, wonder how it's going to play out, but I definitely think we'll see a lot of representations of that. Look
Now,
for the synchronicities of in numbers and things that kind of affirm that at that time. There's so many, so yeah.
one, Eileen said she was watching a Markiplier video. He's a YouTuber with a few million viewers. My kids actually watch Markiplier, I think, or some of them do anyway. And that he was upset because some of the people in his chat were spamming emojis and got their accounts permanently banned for just putting too many emojis in there. Now, I'm not sure if that was really the case. I'm not sure what the algorithm's targeting. I put emojis all the time, and I'm not going to worry about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But she thought I should do some kind of public service announcement to let you guys know that if you use too many, you could get banned. I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to change anything
Wow.
I'm doing. What about
banned for emoji use?
Right. And you guys know our chat.
I mean,
It's all full of happy emojis. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how things change too. There's new guidelines coming out for YouTube December 10th. I don't know how that's going to affect things again.
Right.
As far as things tightening up.
The whole COPPA thing. Are you talking about the COPPA thing? Or I guess that starts COPPA. It starts. I thought that starts in January, where if you don't market 4 kids, then you can get fined $42,000.
I heard something about that too. Yeah. No, I don't know if that's the guidelines that change on December or not. I just know that there's changes to the guidelines again. It seems like whenever they do that, things get even worse. It is really bad right now. Like I was watching a video this morning, and it was showing 0 views, yet it had like 342 likes and 57 comments, but no views.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, somebody said they changed something with the algorithm to where instead of it giving you a view when somebody begins it, it gives you a view when they complete watching it. So I don't know if they're saying that if somebody watches 50% of it, it's not a view. I don't know what it is, but they are toying with it for sure. And they're publicly toying with it. And I think it probably has something to do with, they don't want to pay ad revenue if people don't make it so far. Who knows what it is, but
yeah, no, I think they're doing it to specific channels.
Yeah.
Specific videos.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. To specific topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's obviously biased. It's so you don't see it happening on other kinds of videos. There's an obvious bias there. So yeah, so that might get worse, but
well, we're actually celebrating Thanksgiving today here.
Yeah.
Instead of the Thursday, the day after tomorrow, because my wife is a waitress and works all day on Thanksgiving, so we just move it to a different day, and it happens to be today. And so, happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Yeah. So you're having your turkey dinner today?
Yeah, you had yours on our Columbus Day. Isn't that how it works in Canada?
Yeah, we have ours in October. It's quite a bit of difference, actually, like earlier October. So timing-wise, yeah. So you guys kind of just go right into your Christmas season now, eh? It's like a holiday season pretty much from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
And that was one of the Mandela effects, is it being the third Thursday, and there's a lot of, I guess, confusion surrounding the third Thursday, and now it's the last Thursday. I don't know what it is now, or it's the fourth Thursday unless it falls on a certain day. It's just a bunch of weird stuff. But all I know is, in the past, I remember that there was always more than a month left after Thanksgiving, and now we see here it is 11/26. I guess 11/28 is going to be Thanksgiving, so you're going to have less than a month before Christmas. So that's really weird to me, because it seemed like you always at least had a month and a few days before Christmas.
Yes.
But now it's not that way. Yeah, it's not that way anymore.
Yeah.
So, no stovetop stuffing either, so, who
No.
knows? No Stouffer's
Exactly.
stovetop stuffing. Let me clear. Now it's Kraft,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's going to be...
That one blows my mind.
Stouffer's macaroni and cheese, and we're like, what? Everything flips.
Can you imagine if they got rid of KD, Kraft Dinner? They still called it was like Stouffer's KD.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm expecting lots of shifts and lots of things happening in the near future, and people waking up more and more all the time, and not to take that responsibility, but all of you guys going to visit your families, just try to try to love and let people believe what they want to believe this year, and see how that turns out. See how surprised people are when you won't engage them in their drama, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was that you that recommended going and playing with the kids instead?
Go play with the kids. Yeah, that was
I
me.
love that. I love that.
That was me.
Perfect.
Go play with the kids. It's so much better having a conversation with them, really, than the adults in that situation, and they'll appreciate you for it too.
Right.
You know, yeah. Just I think that's the best thing, especially if the conversations are coming up in an open way, and you're surprised. Uncle Joe's bringing up stuff that you're surprised, he didn't bring up, and talk. But if somebody's really coming at you, and we know you're going to sense what that is. They're coming because they're looking for that debate. They're expecting you to say, like, I dare you to say something in opposition to me.
And those open-ended questions are the ones that usually start up. So every time I'm asked that, because I get that all the time with somebody that sort of disappeared because I brought the wrong thing up to them. And then they're like, so what have you been up to? And I'm like, I can't tell you what I've been up to, because it's just going to open up a whole can of worms. Like, just enjoying life,
Yeah,
I would hit them back with ambiguity is a good thing at some point.
It is. You are not you don't owe any explanation.
Right.
You're not obligated. You're not obligated to explain yourself to anybody. You're not. You're really not. It doesn't matter who they are or how they're talking to you or what kind of strategies they use to get you, to engage in that. You just don't have to explain yourself at all. Yeah.
I can just see that.
You don't have to explain why you believe. And if you are feeling like you need to, that's in you.
Right.
That's in you. So, and maybe you can look at us as why do I feel like I need to prove something to this person? Why do I feel like I need to state my opinion in return just to tell them that they're wrong? Never mind them trying to tell me that, put the focus back on yourself and how you really want to choose to feel in that environment. So,
that's one of the things that I find to be really helpful is, instead of feeling like they're wrong, just to feel like, hey, they're right from their point of view. And then that helps you just sort of let
from
it
their
go,
perspective. Yeah, that's their story.
That's their story.
That's their story. Believe me, they're sticking to it.
I mean, can you imagine if like
anybody at any favors? Grandma will sure appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Right? Less
She's going to be off with the kids probably too.
Yeah, you can just choose not to engage, and they will give up. They'll drop it. They may poke, they may prod, but
right.
That
does happen a little bit too. But it's like the people that disappeared as a result of the Mandela Effect. Can you imagine? I just had a Mandela book come out. I just went to this Mandela Effect conference, and oh my gosh, did you know there's no more stovetop stuffing? Stouffer stovetop stuffing?
Yeah. So. And you have every right to bring those things up too, like if that if that's what you want to do. But
I would
just always make sure you're in a comfortable. Tune in where you are knowing your environment.
Yeah.
And is that a good place for you to bring it up? Because nobody needs to be yelled at or told that they're wrong, they're stupid, that's silly. So just don't put yourself in that position if you kind of are sensing that environment to begin with. Great
advice.
Yeah. But if there's good people to talk about, what you're experiencing, then share away. Mm-hmm. But I think we can all sort of take the temperature of what that environment is when we go into it. And we're not asserting ourselves right away. Like, here I am, and this is what I have to say, and this is what I want to tell you, and this is the story that I want you to believe. We can just kind of take the temperature of the room and go with that, as opposed to just asserting our own will on everybody in there. Because we don't like the way it feels when somebody else does it to us. So it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
It goes both ways.
And that's one of the things, actually, that when you sort of get out of that frame of mind of feeling responsible or carrying the weight of the world, like everybody's your responsibility, really, you're just your own responsibility. But when you get out of that mode, then you can be more intuitive about when someone does approach you, like, oh, they're really opening up to me. They really want this information. And somebody will pull you to the side or, catch you on the porch smoking a cigarette or off in a room somewhere with the kids, like come in there and play with you. Hey, I was wondering about blah, blah, blah. And they'll pull you off to the side and ask you. So if you get caught up in some of that drama, that opportunity might not come up.
No, because you're too busy pushing your own agenda.
Right.
You're not listening.
Or they might be afraid that, they're teaming up with them because they just went off to talk to them off to the side, and it must have to do with this drama that was just going on. But if it never happened, then they might feel more comfortable pulling you to the side and talking to you. So there's a lot of moving parts to consider. But just operating in love, I think, from the heart is always the best way to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So
and go play with the kids. Go color.
Speaking of which, I got family showing up, and I guess
to your Thanksgiving thing. I'm really today too. Just
hey, it's
not
331 here. Who said it was their birthday? Rita, was that you? I think 331 is Rita's birthday.
Oh,
so it's 3:31 here in my time zone. So lots of love and light to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for chatting and talking shift with me, Michelle.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully I'll be more entertaining next week.
some real shifts going on.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to have to go binge watch the show you're talking about. So because you were wanting to talk to me about it, and you're like, I was wanting to talk to him. He told me about the show.
I know.
Is Travis in here? Travis, that wasn't you for sure,
Travis. Right? I gotta talk to Travis again.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only other possibility. So.
Well, lots of love and light, you guys. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.